Okay, so in this video we'll see about heredity and Mendel's pea plant characteristics on it, or in his experiment, how the Mendel's performs experiment on a garden pea plant, which is what a Pisum stibum. Along with that, we'll see some terms also of heredity. Okay, so now basically we'll starting with the topic term as heredity. Before going to start the term heredity, we all know that heredity, it means that transfer of character from one generation to another generation via genes. Okay, what the definition of the heredity? Transfer of character from one generation to another generation via gene. Okay, so whatever character is transferring from the, you can say, one parents, that is what one generation to the another generation, which is called as what? Heredity. Now we should understand what type of character. There are the two terms are there. One is character and the another one is gene. What the two terms means? Character, it means that anything, any features where the person can be identified. Like you can take an example of a tall. Tall is a characteristics of the person. Short, dwarf is a characteristics or the features of that person, or they can say, or that organisms. Hair color, hair shape, these are the what characteristics or the features. So these are the character which are going to transfer from one generation to the another generation. So here that character is transferring from, you can say, one parents to another via genes. So how it is possible? What type of genes and how, what is genes basically? So genes, it's a fragment of DNA. So before going to start about the genes, I will tell you about certain one concept which is called as, we all know that we have a DNA. We all know that we having a double standard DNA, and hope everyone aware about the DNA full form, right? Deoxyribose nucleic acid. So DNA is what? A double strand or double helix. So this particular DNA, they having what? A certain types of characteristics information. Let's assume that this part of DNA having a characteristics of hair color. Let's assume that this part of DNA having a characteristics of tall, or you can say height, simple, or tall, or maybe a height of that person. Height, maybe tall and dwarf. So this particular fragment which is functional, this particular fragment of the DNA which is functional are considered as a gene. So simply we will write down the fragment of DNA. Fragment of DNA which is responsible for particular character. Okay, particular character which is considered as a gene, which is present where in a DNA. After, see, we all know that the chromosomes which is there in the human, that basically half of the chromosomes are going to transfer into the gametes and then fusion happens, the formation of the zygotes occur. So this DNA only are able to form what? When this DNA are condensed with the certain types of protein. Let's talk about here. We having a one protein which is called as histone protein. So when this DNA is condensed, DNA is a thread-like structure, and when we can say condense that thread-like structure, they called as what? Chromatin. So chromatin is what? A condensed form of DNA along with that one protein called as what? Histone protein. And when the cell division need to occur, so that chromatin will take a X-shaped structure, that X-shaped structure called as what? Chromosomes. This is what a X-shaped structure, where it called as what? Chromosome. Center, we having a centromere. So here we having a chromosomes. Now we'll see the another term of heredity, or you can say the chapter, the one which is called as genetics. This term basically was given by one scientist, Georg Johann Mendel, and basically it's also called as father of genetics. Genetics basically are defined as study of heredity and variation. Genetics is defined as what? A study of heredity and variation, where we have done the definition of heredity. Now let's recall about a variation term. That variation, it means that whatever differences you see, or you can say you can observe in parents and the offspring. Okay, whatever difference. So a difference between parents and offspring. Difference between parents and offspring. Offspring, it means we can say considered as a child, or you can say next progeny. That is considered as a variation. So these two study, we can also write about genetics, study of character which are going to transfer from parents, or you can say one generation to the another generation. Along with that, to study the differences between parents and offspring. It is called as what? Genetics. The term given by scientist, so as what? A Mendel, Georg Johann Mendel, which is also called as father of genetics. Father of genetics. Now Mendel performed one experiment on a pea plant, pea plant. Okay, so here we need to understand about his experiment. So he performed one experiment on a pea plant. Okay, on a pea plant. Now we need to understand why he was selected only a pea plant, not the other plants. Like we can take another plants also, right? But why only pea plants? So they are having certain features of a pea plant. Like the one feature we can understand that they are having a very short lifespan, very short lifespan. It means they can understand or they can study a very, you can say, more than 2 or 3 generation in a single year. Okay, so it's very easy to understand a 2-3 generation of a one pea plant. That's why we have selected this pea plant. Okay, another one, they can undergo both, you can say, sexual and asexual, you can say, sorry, self pollination and or cross pollination. Self pollination and cross pollination. Apart from that, pea plant also having a very distinctive features of characteristics. Like characteristic, they having a variety of characters. Okay, they having what? A variety of characters. Apart from that, they having a many more features. But for the 1 marks question, 3 or 4 features is, you can say, enough. Along with that, we also need to understand Mendel's, how many features you are selected on a pea plant. Okay, so there is a one table in a NCERT book also it was given. Mendel selected 7 different characters of a pea plant. Now we'll see about how Mendel's have selected a pea plant. Okay, so in a pea plant, basically he have selected first characters, then the characters is a dominant one or a recessive one. Okay, the 2 characters were there. One is character is dominant character and the another one is a recessive character. So here we having one table to remember how we can find out the characters. So start of that character of a pea plant along with what? Height. So height, we having one formula to remember the characters of pea plant. That formula is starting with the height h, then s square, p square and f square. We'll see how we can term as h. H is a single one, is a h is height. Then second we having a s, right? So s stand for seed color, then seed shape, then is a p, right? P is pod, a covering of a seed, pod color, pod shape. Then we have a last f. F stand for flower, color and flower position. This is the 7 different characters. Where height, dominant one is tall and recessive one is dwarf. Where we also write a short one, the character which are not expressed form. Dominant is what? Expressed form. Seed color is a yellow is a dominant and white is a recessive. Seed shape, round color, round shape and wrinkle is a recessive. Similarly, pod color, we have two different traits. Pod color opposite to the seed, to yellow, or you can say, sorry, yellow and green, not the white here, it's a green, yellow and green. So here green is a dominant and yellow is what? Recessive. Pod shape, we having a, here you can say inflated one or a constricted. Two different shapes are there for the pod. Okay, so inflated, constricted. Along with that, flower color violet, and a white. Along with that, flower position axial and terminal. Means many flowers are located at the terminal end of the plant. That flower or that plant or the characteristic is considered as a what? Recessive character. Axial is between the branches. A flower are there, but it between the branches, which is considered as a dominant character of that plant. So this is the 7 different characters we should keep in mind. So here 7 characters, along with that what? 14 traits. Okay, 7 characters and 14 different traits were given by the Mendel on a pea plant. Hope you have understood many terms on a heredity, starting with the definition of heredity only, then variation, genetics, genes, along with that the Mendel experiment on a pea plant, that the features, and a Mendel pea plant characters, like 7 different characters along with that 14 traits. How you can remember the traits or the you can say character? Along with this formula H S square F P square and F square. You can interchange, it's up to you, but S stands for seed, P stands for pod, or F stands for flower. We can differentiate these 2 terms along with that color and the shape. Okay, thank you.